All right. So let's look at problem number 1. They're saying write the statement in algebraic form. 34 less than a number. So less than this number is 34. So we have n minus 34, right? 34 is less than this number. So it's n minus 34. So that's your answer. So 31 less than twice a number, less than twice a number. Okay. So less than twice a number is 31. Okay. So that is going to be 2n minus 31. So 31 less than twice a number. So 2n minus 31. The difference between the square of a number and a number. The square of a number is n squared, right? And the difference between that and a number. So n squared minus n will be your answer for that. Okay, so words like less than, always the variable comes first and the number will come next. Okay, so keep that in mind. When they say less than, the variable, that is a number, right? Number we do not know, so we put that as n. This is called a variable. So that will come first and then the number comes afterwards. Even here, less than twice a number is 2n, so 2n minus 31. But when they say difference, then it just follows the same sequence, like square of a number, so n squared, and a number, so n squared minus n will give you the difference. All right, so here they're asking you find the 100th term. So all these have a formula, so I need to write it down here. So I'm going to look at this problem first, and then I'm going to use the whiteboard. They're saying find the 100th term of the following arithmetic sequence. So let's use the whiteboard here first. Okay. So we are going to work on problem number 4. Okay, so they mentioned it's an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so that we know it, this problem is an arithmetic sequence. So we have 3 minus square root of 7 and 3 minus 2 square root of 7. Okay, and it keeps going on. The formula for an arithmetic sequence is a to the power of n is equal to, not a to the power of an is equal to a1 plus n minus 1 d. Okay, suppose they want you to find the sum of the 100. What is this? Let's go back and see what are they asking you here. They're saying find the 100th term of the following arithmetic sequence. So in order to find the 100th term of the following arithmetic sequence, so we go back here. So we want to find the 100th term. Okay, so A1 is your first term. This is your first term. D, which you see here, is the difference of terms. Okay, difference of terms. And n will, whatever they ask you, whether it's a 100th term or the 50th term, that will give you the n value. Okay, so now A1, they're saying is the first term. Now what's your first term? The first term is 3. Okay, so that's 3. Then n minus 1, we know n is 100, so 100 minus 1. And what is d? The difference. Okay, so how do you find the difference? Okay, so you take the second term and minus it with the first term. So you're taking the second term and minusing with the first term. Okay, you're taking the second term, minusing with the first term. So you know this 2 will cancel out, and the d value, say this is your d value, is going to be negative square root of 7. So this is going to be negative square root of 7. All right. So the 100th term is 3 plus 100 minus 1 is 99 minus square root of 7. So you know this negative times the positive will become negative. So this will become a negative. 99 square root of 7 will be your answer. All right. So keep in mind A1 is your first term. D is the difference between the terms. So always take your second term and minus it with the first term. That'll give you the difference. And what are they asking you? If they're asking you for 100 term, then that's going to be your n value. And then plug it into this formula, you'll get your answer. All right. The next problem, which is problem number 5, they're saying find the nth term of the following arithmetic sequence. Okay, so the one thing which we know, it's an arithmetic sequence, so that's given to us. Okay, so in order to find the nth term of the arithmetic sequence, they're not asking you to find the 100th term, right? Just the nth term. So what we do, which is problem number 5, we have 7 plus square root of 2, 7 plus 2 square root of 2. Okay, same formula. A to the power of n is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 d. Okay. The previous problem, they asked you to find the 100th term, right? So the value of n was given to you. Here, they're not giving you the value of n, but they're asking you to find the n term. So we'll keep n as n. Okay. So what's the first term? A1 is going to be your first term, right? So that's going to be 7. What's the difference? What's the d value? It's the difference of these two. So 7 plus square root of 2 minus 7. So we take the second term minus the first term. So that'll give you square root of 2. That's your d value. So just plug it in. A1, which is 7, plus n minus 1 square root of 2 is your answer. In order to find the nth term, this is what it is. If they ask you to find the 100th term, then you put 100. They're asking you to find just the nth term. So just leave it as n, and this will give you the answer. Okay, so we'll clear that and go back here and look at this problem. They're saying find the 17th term, okay, of the following geometric sequence. All right, here they're saying it's a geometric sequence. So geometric sequence has a formula. Arithmetic sequence has a formula. Geometric sequence has a formula. So I'm going to show you what that formula is. Okay, so we're looking at problem number 6. Okay, so we have 6. If it's a geometric sequence, then it's A, the first term, R is the ratio, n minus 1. A is the first term, R is the ratio. I'll show you what a ratio, what do we mean by ratio, and then n minus 1. Okay, I need to copy that problem down because I don't have it with me here. So we have, let me write it down. We have 8 square root of 2, 16 square root of 2. Okay. Back here. So the problem is 8 square root of 2. And then we have 16 square root of 2. Okay, so A1 is the first term, which is 8, right? R is a ratio. ratio of the first term of the second term divided by the first term. So in order to find R, you take the second term, 8 square root of 2, and divide it by the first term. Okay, that's the ratio. Okay, so if you divide these two, you're going to get square root of 2, which is your R value. Okay, and then they're saying n, they're asking you to find the 17th term. So n is 17. Okay, plug it in. So we have same formula. A1 we know is 8. R we just found out, square root of 2. N is 17 minus 1. So we have 8 square root of 2, 16. Okay, now comes how do you do this? Okay, so in order to do this, you first do this part first. So in your calculator, you're going to put square root of 2, and there's a key called x to the power of y, 16. Then you put square root of 2, you press this key, then you put 16, that'll give you an answer. Or if you don't have that key, you'll have y to the power of x key. Then you put 16, key it in, you get an answer. If you don't have that key, you will have this key, a thing like this. Key it in, you get the answer. So you have to do this first. Okay, and then you multiply it with 8. So just a minute, I'm going to get that calculator. It's not with me right now. Just give me a minute. Okay. All right. Now back. So if I put square root of 2 in my calculator, and I put x power of y, that's what I have, 16, I get okay, I may be wrong, but hold on. 2 shifts square root x power of y, 16. Okay, it gives me 256. If I times it by 8, that'll give me 2048, and that's the right answer. Okay. So important thing is you have to do this first before you multiply it with 8. Okay, that's problem number 6. Problem number 7. They're saying find the nth term of the following geometric sequence. Okay, we know the formula for the geometric sequence, and we need to find the nth term. So let me copy this down. I don't have these numbers. So if I go back here, we know it's a geometric sequence, right? So that's important. So problem number 7, since it's a geometric sequence, it's A1 R n minus 1. Okay. The problem is 1 plus square root of 6, 6 plus square root of 6, and 6 plus 6 square root of 6. Okay, and it keeps going on. So A1 we know, right? It's easy to find A1 because it's always going to be your first term. We have 1 plus square root of 6. Okay, we need to find R. R is the ratio, right? That means you take the second term and divide it by the first term. So you're taking the second term and dividing it by the first term. Okay. Now, there is a way to divide this. If you've done Math C, you'll have an idea, but if you're not done it, it's okay. So how do you divide these two? These are called rational expressions. Okay, they are rational because they have square roots and all that stuff. So, so how do you divide a rational number? Okay, how do you divide a rational number? So you multiply by something called the conjugate. That means if this is positive, you make this into a negative, and you multiply by the conjugate, top and bottom, right? By the same conjugate. So when you do that, when you multiply it by the conjugate, this becomes a plus b, a minus b. Okay, so on the top we have 6 plus square root of 6, 1 minus square root of 6, but at the bottom it becomes 1 squared minus square root of 6 the whole square. So okay, I'm going to the bottom first, but I'm not going to have space, so that's my biggest worry. On the top, I'm not doing anything. I'm just copying it down. So this becomes 1. You know, if you take square root of 6, the whole squared, that'll just become 6. So this becomes 6. So we have 6 plus square root of 6, 1 minus square root of 6 over negative 5. Okay, so that the bottom part we did. Now we need to do the top. Okay, so in order to do the top, I'll do it here and then I'll take it out, but you know, it's going to be there because it's on the recording. So we have 6 plus square root of 6 times 1 minus square root of 6. I'm just doing this part. Okay, I need to take this off so it doesn't confuse you. That's square root of 6. Okay, now you FOIL, right? You FOIL. That means you multiply this with this whole thing. So 6, 1 minus square root of 6. Then you multiply this with this whole thing. So plus square root of 6, 1 minus square root of 6. So if you multiply these two, now you distribute. You get 6, right? If you multiply 6 times 1, you're going to get 6. Then if you multiply 6 with the square root of 6, you're going to get 6 square root of 6. Then same thing here. If you multiply square root of 6 with 1, you get square root of 6, right? Then positive times negative is negative. If you multiply a square root of 6 with square root of 6, you're just going to get 6, okay? You have to know this. Square root of 6 times square root of 6 will just give you 6. How? Because you can make this into a common square root and multiply these two. 6 times 6 will give you 36, and you know the square root of 36 is 6. So that's the concept which goes behind this. So instead of doing all that, so if you multiply square root of 6 times square root of 6, it just land up with 6. So that's how we landed up with 6 when we multiply these two guys. All right, now, okay, now this 6 and this 6 will cancel. Okay, so we're left with negative 6 square root of 6 plus square root of 6 over this negative 5. Okay, now this is square root of 6, this is square root of 6, right? So between these two, square root of 6 is common. I can take it out. And what is left? I have a negative 6. And here, when you take out a square root of 6, you're left with 1 because there is a 1 here. So plus 1 over negative 5. So that becomes square root of 6. Negative 6 plus 1 will give you negative 5. If you divide this by negative 5, you know you can cancel these two and you get square root of 6. Okay, a little bit of work here just because of this concept here, how to divide a rational number. So, so you have to multiply by a conjugate, and then you have to FOIL this in order to find out, in order to get this answer. So we're left with square root of 6 as your R value. Okay, I'm going to take this off, but it's going to be then in the recording, so you know it's there. So let me take this off. All right, so we found the R value to be square root of 6, right? So, where did I put it? Okay, so R is square root of 6. That's what we got. So A is 1 plus square root of 6, right? That's your A value. R, we found that to be square root of 6. N, they're asking you to find the nth term. So keep it as n minus 1 will give you your answer. And that's going to be your answer. You cannot go further than that. Okay, the only problem is here, and it's not a problem, it's a little bit of work. I mean, you can't do anything with this, you just leave it, and this is going to be your answer after that. Okay, problem number 8. So if you look at 8, they're saying in an arithmetic sequence, so we know it's an arithmetic sequence, find the first term. First term means they're asking to find A1, right? A1 is your first term. If the 17th term is 18 and the difference is square root of square root 2. Okay, so if we before we go in, let's see what's given to you. So they're asking you to find the first term. So asking you to find A1. They're saying the 17th term, so they're giving you the n value. They're saying n is they're saying that's your 17th term. They're saying the 17th term is 18. So 8 to the power of n is 18. And the difference, so the d value is square root of 2. Now, so when they ask you the 100th term, n becomes 100, right? And they're saying whatever the term is, the 100th term, that's going to be 8 to the power of n. That means here, okay, suppose since the previous problem, they asked you in arithmetic sequence. So let's go back to that problem and show you what. See, when they're asking you the 100th term, they're asking you to find 8 to the power of n, given the n value to be 100. Here, if you go down here and look at this problem, they're saying that 17th term is 18. So that n value, which is 17, the 8 to the power of n is given as 18. Okay, so they've given you that answer for the 17th term, that's 18. And they're asking you to find the first term. I mean, it's impossible not to have this value in order to find A1. So if you go back and look at the problem, you know arithmetic sequence is 8 to the power of n is A1 plus n minus 1 d. Okay, they're giving you the difference is square root of 2. They're giving you the n is 17. And they're also giving you this value is going to be 18. When you plug it in, you get 18. They're saying that's what you get. The 17th term is 18. And they're asking you to find 8 to the power of 1. So now it becomes simple math. So we have 18 is equal to 8 to the power of 1 plus 17 minus 1 square root of 2. So we have 18 is equal to 8 to the power of 1. So this will become 16 square root of 2. Okay. And then you minus 16 square root of 2 on both the sides. We have A1 is 18 minus 16 square root of 2. And that's about it. You can't do more than this after that. You can, but we're not doing anything. We're leaving the answer like this because that's your answer. Okay. That's problem number 8. Let's look at the rest of the problems. Okay, the cost of having an electrician spend H hours in your house if the electrician charges $43 for coming to your house and X per hour for labor. So when he comes to your house, he charges $43, okay? So he enters your house, just for coming to your house, he charges $43. And then he charges X hours per X dollars per hour. Okay, so X dollars per hour. So every hour he's charging you X dollars. So it's 43 plus X times H will give you your answer. I mean, that's your answer. Okay, so it gives you, I mean, $43 is for just coming and looking at your work. And then for every hour, he charges X dollars. Okay, the amount of bacteria after n minutes, if the initial amount of bacteria is Q and the amount of bacteria doubles every 20 seconds. So we have a formula, y is equal to a b to the power of n, because this is an exponential growth. The bacteria grows every 20 seconds. So the growth is exponential. Okay, they're giving you the initial value of bacteria is Q. So A is your initial value. And then they're saying that is Q. So we got that. And the amount of bacteria doubles. This B tells you how, if it, I mean, if it doubles, then you write 2. If it triples, then you write 3. So that is the amount of bacteria. Okay, and how does it, if it doubles is 2, if it triples is 3, so that's 2. Okay, and then they're saying every 20 seconds. Now, the thing is in minutes, right? It's not in seconds. So I have to convert that 20 seconds to minutes. So I'm going to divide 60 by 20, n. So we have Q, 2, 60 divided by 20 is 3, n will be your answer. So that's your answer. So you have to convert, since it's minutes, convert the seconds to minutes, and then I'll give you the answer. All right. All right, they're saying for a particular event, a student pays $9 per ticket, and the non-student pays $14 per ticket. Okay, so if you look at this, so we have students and non-student. Okay, and let's say the student is X, and not the number of students is X, the number of non-students is Y. Okay, and they're saying, if you put a dollar amount here and a dollar amount here, they'll give you the total dollar amount, okay, of the students and non-students. Okay, that's the total dollar amount. So that's the actually the formula behind this. So if you multiply the dollar amount by the number of students, and you add that dollar amount to the number of students, that'll give you the total dollar amount of all the people who are in that event. Okay, all the people who are in that event, the dollar amount, the total dollar amount will come here. Okay, so if you multiply the dollar amount with the number of students plus the dollar amount with the non-students, you'll get the total dollar amount of the people who are in that event. Okay, so that's the concept behind, or the sort of a formula. So for a particular event, a student pays $9 per ticket. Okay, so we have $9 per ticket, and the non-student pays $14 per ticket. So this guy pays $14 per ticket. If X students, okay, so X students, so that's what we mentioned that to be X, and 200 non-students buy the ticket. Now here we have, but here we have X to be students, so we don't have the number of students we don't have the number, so they've given you an X value, but for the non-students, they're giving you a number. So we multiplied this. So we have 9X plus 14 times 200. Okay, is equal to the total dollar amount. So we have 9X. If you multiply 14 times 200, you get 2,800. Okay, it's a total dollar amount, but we do not know that. They're not interested in that. They just want an expression. So this is your expression. So this is how you get it. So the concept is dollar amount times the number of students plus dollar amount times the number of non-students is equal to the total dollar amount of all the people who are in that event. Okay, here they're saying they do not know, but they're giving you the dollar amount for the students. They're giving you the dollar amount for the non-students. But for the number of students, they're just saying X, but the number of non-students, they're saying it's 200. So if you multiply that, you get the expression. Okay. Okay, the cost C in dollars of having an electrician come to your house to do a repair job in H hours, if he charges $18 for coming to your house and $30 for each hour. So we did a similar problem, right? Similar problem like this. So when he comes to your house, he charges $30, okay, just for coming to your house. And then he charges $18, 30, no, sorry. So problem number 12, he charges $18 for coming to your house, and then he charges $30 for every hour. So 30 times H will be your expression. So 18, that's 30 times, or you can put C is equal to, since they're putting the cost C, okay? All right, okay. The temperature in Fahrenheit F is 5 times the temperature in Fahrenheit. Okay, the temperature in Fahrenheit F, if 5 times the temperature in Fahrenheit is equal to a sum of 9 times the temperature in degrees Celsius, C, and 160. They're saying the temperature in Fahrenheit F. So they're asking you to find the temperature in Fahrenheit F if what happens? If 5 times the temperature in Fahrenheit, 5 times the temperature in Fahrenheit, okay, is equal to the sum of 9 times the temperature in degrees, the sum of 9 times the temperature in degrees plus 160, the sum of these two, okay, is equal to the sum of 9 times the temperature in degrees plus 160. And they're asking you to find F. So obviously we need to take this 5 out. So what we do is we divide by 5. So this will cancel, we get F is equal to, keep this 9 over 5 because it's all over 9 over 5. Then if you divide Celsius, then if you divide this by 160, you're going to get 32. And that'll be your answer. So it's going to be 9 over 5s plus 32. All right. Problem number 14 is like 12. They're saying the cost C of renting a video movie for N days if the charge is $3 plus $4 per day of renting. Okay, so $4 per day of renting. So per day is given as N, right? So that's, you have to make that into a variable as N, because that's how they want to represent that day to be N. So it's first, what happens? It charges is $3. So it charges $3 plus $4 every day times N. Okay, so that's the answer. All right. So if you look at problem number 15 and 16, I'm going to do it on the whiteboard. All right, so just look at this. These are the problems, these two. So I'm going to, I may not come back here. So I'll just work it out here. So problem number 15, we have 5x plus 25 is equal to 4x plus 100. Okay, here we're trying to find the value of x. So you minus 4x here, you minus 4x here. So we have x plus 25 is equal to 100 minus 25 minus 25. We have x is 75. Okay. All right. Problem number 16. We have 9, 2x plus 5 plus 7, 2x plus 5 is equal to 176. Okay, the first thing you do is distribute. So when you distribute, 9 times 2 is 18x. You get 45 here, 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 14x plus 35 is equal to 176. Okay, now combine like terms. So if you add 18 plus 14, 18 plus 14 will give you 32x. And then if you add these two guys together, 45 plus 35, you're going to get 80. That's equal to 176. Okay, and then you minus 80 here. So this will cancel out. You get 32x is equal to 96. Then you divide by 32. So you get x is 3. All right. All right, here they're saying the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 342. Find the numbers. Okay, consecutive integers are, I'm going to write it down here. Okay, they are x, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. So you keep adding every time 1, and it keeps going on. So they're called consecutive integers. Now they're saying the sum of 3 consecutive integers. So we'll take x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. They're saying the sum of that is 342. So if I add these guys up, that's 342. And they're asking you to find the numbers. Okay, so how many x's we have? 1, 2, 3. So we have 3x. How many numbers we have? We have a 2 and we have a 1. So we have a 3. 342. Okay, then you minus 3 on both the sides. So this cancels out. You get 3x is equal to, you take 342, 342 minus 3 will give you 339. Okay, so you have 3x is equal to 339. I just brought this up here. Then you divide this by 3. You have x is 113. Okay, but they're asking you to find the numbers. It's not just x alone. So the first number is 113. The second number is x plus 1. So, sorry, this one, x plus 1. So it's 113 plus 1, which will give you 114. And then the third number is x plus 2. So we have 113 plus 2 will give you 115. So these are the three numbers. So 113, 114, 115. All right, problem number 18. They're saying a paint mixture contains 9 gallons of base for every gallon of color. For every gallon of color. So if you mix, or if you add the base to the color, you will get a paint, right? How do you form a paint? You take the base and the color and you get a paint, right? So if I look at the paint, it has 9 gallons of base and 1 gallon of color. So that's totally 10. Right? You get this? It's important. Because it has a base and a color to get the paint. All right. Now they ask you in 410 gallons of paint, how many gallons of color are there? Okay, so let's create a ratio. We have a paint. We have color. And then we have paint. We have a color. So my paint is 10. My color is 1, right? And my paint here, they're asking for 400 gallons of paint, which is 410. What is my color going to be? Okay, so in order to get my paint, I have to add 9 plus 1, which is 10. So that goes on the top, but my color is still 1, right? It says here, for every gallon of color, so that my color is 1. For 410, what will be my color? So now you cross multiply. You cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, you multiply 10 times x is 410, right? 410 times 1, which is 410. Then you divide this by 10, you get x is going to be 41. If you look at that, it's going to be 41 gallons. Okay, the trick part is here. Okay, that 9 plus 1 is 10 gallons. All right, problem number 19. They're saying a baseball team played 151 completed games last season. They had 49 fewer wins than losses. How many games did the team win? Okay, so important thing is here, they had 49 fewer wins than losses. So let's say we have win and we have losses. And we have total, right? So total games played. So they're saying there are 49 fewer wins than losses. If the losses were X, right? We do not know how many losses. The wins are going to be X minus 49. They had 49 fewer wins than losses. All right, and the total here is 151. So if we add these two guys, that's 151. Okay, so we have x and x, so we have 2x minus 49 is 151. So you add 49. So this will cancel off. We have 2x is equal to so 151 plus 49 will give you 200. Okay, then you divide this by 2. You get x is 100. So they had 100 losses. But how many wins did they have? In order to find the wins, it's x minus 49. So it's 100 minus 49, which will give you 51 wins. So 51 games. All right, and that's your answer. Questions? Any problem you want me to repeat? Because that 19 was the last one. All right, so if you have no questions, remember in the quiz I have, last week's quiz, I've got to give you 1 point for that, or this week, I don't know. I think that was last. Anyway, I'll figure that out. I've got to add 1 point extra. So I'll do that this week. So if you have any questions on this, prompt to me if you're stuck with your quiz or your homework, okay? I will reply back. All right, guys. So if you don't have any questions, I will end this meeting and I will see you next week.